Good evening and welcome back to another episode of What's Your Story? Tonight we are sitting down with one of our favorite people and volunteers, Ann Corbey. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mary Lou. It's nice to be here.
We've tried to schedule you a few times this year and finally
There we
we
are.
get a chance to sit down together and learn a little bit more about you. So where did you start? Where were you born?
I was born in Minnesota,
Okay.
so I'm a Midwesterner,
Yeah.
but most of my life has been in New England.
Okay.
So,
So when did you get to New England and where were you?
my parents we took a trip when I was in high school
Okay.
to the Boston area,
Yeah.
and I fell in love, and I said, "This is where I'm going to live."
Uh-huh.
So, and
It is a nice area.
It is. And my closest friend was already in Cambridge. So after college,
Yeah.
I didn't even go home.
Yeah.
I just got in the car with a friend and moved out. We already had an apartment that was passed down from somebody else we
Yeah.
knew over on Marlborough Street.
Yeah.
So I lived there for a couple of months. I got a job at MIT and then decided to move to Cambridge. So we moved to Cambridge, and I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
And worked for a couple of years, went back to school, and...
We have a MIT fellow in the room. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, no.
Mike Kelly, our producer.
Very good.
So, so then from there, you went where?
From Cambridge, we moved to a little town. I was kind of heading for the country.
Yep.
And we moved to a little town called Dunstable in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And it was just a little too dead after living in Cambridge.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And I said, after 2 years, I can't do this. And my pediatrician, because I had a child by then, who spent most of her first year running back to Cambridge with
Yeah.
me because I was so crazy. And my pediatrician said, you ought to move to Groton, which is where he lived. And he became a very good friend.
Yep.
So we moved to Groton, and I was there until I moved here permanently.
Yeah, wow. What did you and Steve do in Groton?
Well, Steve and neither one of us, well, I should put it differently. We were both married before.
Okay.
So we met in 1985,
Okay.
1986, something like that.
Yeah.
And I had a farm that I had purchased with my first husband,
Yeah.
and I was raising sheep and
Oh my.
doing a lot of work with fiber and working at an independent school. So Steve and I met
Yeah.
quite a few years into our lives.
Yeah, yeah, wow. So, did you, what kind of day was that like when you were on the farm?
Well, it was crazy because I had a job.
Yeah, I'm thinking you were a teacher, weren't you? Or something.
I was a middle school head.
Yeah, jeez.
So, the girls, I had 2 daughters, and they helped a lot with the chores. They would tell you all about it.
Yeah.
They loved to tell I lived on a sheep farm, but interestingly, neither one of them has ever gone that route. So it was busy, and
Yeah.
it worked, and we loved it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It was a great place for them to grow up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had a fiber business on the side, so I was doing a lot, but
Yeah.
loving everything I
Yeah.
was doing. And
Yeah.
as you know,
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Loved the kids.
Yeah.
We all worked the farm together, and we even went back and forth to school together. They went to my school until they got to
Yeah.
10th grade,
Yeah, wow.
and then they went to different schools. But,
Anything else on the farm, chickens or any of that stuff?
you
Or
know,
did
we
just-
tried. They each wanted to try different things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had chickens for a while, and then my younger daughter, who had the chickens, got salmonella, and the Board of Health came in, and I said, we don't need this, so the chickens went.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah. So we had guinea hens and peacocks at one point.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It was
That's really fun.
it
Do they
was.
look back at that and see how special, or?
I think my younger daughter really feels that way.
Yeah.
I don't honestly know how my older daughter feels. They both wrote their
Yeah.
college essays about it.
Wow,
all.
wow,
So,
yeah.
As in all my grandchildren.
Yeah,
telling about their life on this crazy farm.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And how long did you teach?
Well, I had several different teaching jobs,
Yeah.
but I was at this one school for about 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And thought I was going to retire. And then I worked in independent schools, and our town was, the state of Massachusetts was starting to work on developing an ELL program.
Yeah.
And I had quite a bit of experience with that. My
Yeah.
grandparents were immigrants, and I knew what it was like to have people around who
Yeah.
didn't have English as a first language.
Right.
And I had done some other things with ELL, so I helped the school district develop a program and
Yeah.
worked a little bit with the state on that. So
Yeah.
after I retired, Steve will tell you I retired 3 times. But I did that for I thought I would do it for 2, but stayed for 7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So how did you find yourself in Kennebunkport?
I was going through a divorce, and my father said, you need a vacation. So why don't you and the girls go down to the Cape and
Yeah.
find a place and go. So we went for a week, and we had a wonderful time. And driving back on Route 20, I said, we are never doing this again. This is not where we're going to be vacationing. So a friend of mine said, if you promise never to tell anybody about it,
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you about a sweet little spot in Maine, Goose Rocks Beach.
Yes.
So we came up, we stayed at the old, motel. It was a motel where the Goose Rocks Dairy is now.
Okay.
And it's now condos
Yeah.
on Route 9.
Yeah.
We stayed there and
The Beechwood or
the
something?
Beechwood, yes,
Yep,
I think
yep.
it was called the Beechwood.
Yep.
We stayed there, and then we went several times that summer, and we fell in love with it. And then finally we found a place on New Bedford Road to rent.
Yeah.
And then when Steve came into our lives, he fell in love with Goose Rocks too.
Yeah.
So we kept looking for a place we could afford.
Yeah.
And finally, 10 years into it, we found
Yeah,
one. I think in
yeah.
2000 we bought our place there.
And you see now it's some of the places that I've been when I was younger, you look back and you say, why didn't I do that when I was, because right now it's
couldn't touch it.
untouchable. Yeah.
But I think, 10 years before I couldn't have afforded it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
really, we didn't buy our place until the kids were through college.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
unless you're wealthy,
Yes.
you can't just pick up a house, especially a second house.
Yeah. Now, are your kids around? Do they live nearby?
My younger daughter lives on Cape Elizabeth,
Okay.
and my older daughter lives in New Jersey.
Okay.
So, and I have 4 grandchildren.
Do you get to see them often?
Well, the ones who are here in Maine
Yeah,
have
yeah.
always spent all their summers here.
Yep.
And the New Jersey kids did for a while, and then as they got older, they come every year.
Yeah, yeah.
And often at Christmas as well. But, they have jobs, and
Right. Yeah. It gets a little difficult.
it gets harder,
yeah.
sports and
Yeah.
friends and activities. So, but the 2 who live on Cape Elizabeth, really, that's been their home in a lot of ways. They moved around a lot, and it's been a stable place for them.
I bet they find, though, when they come, you probably even see it in them. It's this,
Yeah.
when they get to your place. It's just so tranquil.
The beach is really,
Yeah.
that beach
Yeah.
is so magical.
Yeah.
I walk it unless I can't. If
Yeah.
the weather isn't, even if I don't go down on the beach, because like yesterday when it was so
Right,
windy,
right.
we walked along Kings Highway so you could still see the waves
Yeah.
and stand and watch it. And
Yeah.
I never get tired of it.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And people will say, do you miss the farm? I lived at that farm for 40 years. I don't miss the chores. And loved it when I was there,
Sure.
but then it was time to move
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
But I said, I moved from one beautiful part of nature to another beautiful
yeah,
part of nature.
yeah, yeah.
And so...
And there's something about the ocean that's
Oh
just,
my gosh.
yeah, yeah,
And that's one of the things that made me love New England,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
yeah.
Was just never that one trip just solidified for
Yeah.
me that this is where I belong.
I'm glad there was a lot of traffic on Route 20.
I know. It was like, oh my gosh.
So you volunteer here at the library in
Yep.
the book sale.
Yeah.
What else do you like to do when you're, I know you like to read a lot.
Yep.
So, but what other things that do you like to do when you're, you know?
Do you mean as a volunteer or
Both. Both. What interests?
Well, I was involved with River Tree when
Okay.
they were struggling a bit.
Yeah.
And loved that. My grandkids had taken classes there, and when they thought they were going to lose their building,
Yeah.
I thought that was really worthwhile. And I still love River Tree.
Yeah.
It's just a fabulous place, and we're
Yeah.
so, like the library, we're so lucky to have it.
Yeah.
Because for a small town,
I know.
to have a resource like that is incredible.
Right. Yeah.
And when Goose Rocks Beach was going through its lawsuit, I was on the board that worked with the lawyers
Yep.
for the backlot owners and was involved. That was 7 to 10 years.
That was a lot.
That was
yeah, that was a long haul.
a lot of night phone calls with the lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was a big commitment.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I stay active in that kind of thing. I grew up, kind of being an activist and finding things that I could really sink my teeth into. But other than that, I love to work with fiber. My grandson asked me last summer, he said, what are you doing for wool these days? I said, have you gone up to the loft in my studio? And we still have, Steve will tell you, these big garbage bins of fleeces waiting to be spun. So
My
I
gosh.
do a lot of that, and reading.
Yeah.
I love to read, love to
Yeah.
go out with friends.
Yeah.
There's so much here.
Yeah.
We love to go up to the museum,
Yeah.
and there's so
Yeah.
many wonderful music venues in
Yeah.
Portland.
Yeah. We're very lucky. Do you go out to eat a lot?
Yeah.
Any places that you
Quite a bit.
have been to that you say A+, you must go?
Oh, there are quite a few of those. And you mean in Kennebunkport or in
Anywhere.
Portland?
Yeah, anywhere.
In Portland, we really love Ribolita
Oh, yeah.
and Petit Jacqueline is
Yep.
another one.
Yep.
Surly. Around here, we love Chez Rosa.
Yeah.
The Bitter End.
Yeah, yeah.
There are lots.
I know.
I mean, you just can't go wrong.
could
The new
keep-
little barn in the White Barn Inn is lovely.
I have not been there yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
You must
I have
go.
not been there yet. I know a few folks that have it. I had not. I didn't realize that was even there until just a few months ago. So I've got to go try it.
you really should.
So-
It's really reasonably priced.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like the nice big one. It's very lovely though.
The when a few years back when some of the students that were maybe here on a work visa from Europe, they were working over there at the White Barn, and they said, "When are you going to come? When are you going to come?" And I said, "On free night." And they said, "Free night? What's free night?" And I said, "When you're going to treat me to
Yeah, right.
it."
I know.
I never
know.
did. I never
know.
did. And they were just laughing. They didn't get my humor, but it was really funny. So
Well, the little barn is very sweet.
yeah, that's what I hear.
Oh, it's just they had $35 price fixed dinners this winter.
Oh, wow.
And which Barbara Ripton told me about. Another great resource is that book group that we have at the library.
Yep.
I have,
Yeah.
I credit that book group with sort of bringing me into the larger community out of the beach community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of my, getting to know those people.
Yeah.
I learned so much more about Kennebunkport, because Goose Rocks can be very insular. I mean, and we have a lot of little communities like that.
Yeah,
here that
plus
are like that.
people come and go because of the seasons and
Yes.
different things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that book group started with 3 of us, me, Bud Fahey, and Regan, who works at Allison's, Regan McLaughlin.
Oh, yes.
And we would sit in this room, like together like this, and the 3 of us, and we were talking about, I think we started with a classic, and then the next person that joined us was, I think, Janet Powell. So then, it just grew, and it is such a wonderful thing every month to look forward to. And I try my best to read the book. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But I love the discussion. And, and just,
fabulous.
like you said, you can learn a lot more than just about the book that we're reading or so.
And
anyway.
everybody in that group really cares about literature.
Yeah.
Everybody's a reader.
Yeah.
Everybody reads widely, and I love being challenged with books that I wouldn't have picked.
Yep, exactly. Yep. I was talking with Val Merrier, who is a journalist. She writes articles for The Tourist in Town.
Oh, yes, yes.
And she has a blog called Wanderings with Val. And she was saying that, she's been in this one particular book group for many, many years. And she said that's the beauty of it, is you're going out of your comfort zone, so to speak,
Yes.
and you're not just reading the same
Yep.
authors or
Yep.
same genre
Yep.
that you would, all the time. So our next book group book, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get through it. It's a little thick.
I'm reading a chapter a day.
Oh, good for you.
I looked at it, and I'm very interested in it. I'm thrilled that Bud picked it.
Well, that's good.
But
I was thinking Cliff Notes.
but I'm reading a chapter a day, and then so it's not so much all
Yeah,
at once.
okay.
And it just and I'm reading something very light.
Okay. Okay.
As a balance, just to make certain that
Yeah. So, any big plans for the summer? You doing any trips anywhere, or?
We did a trip. We usually go away in March.
In March, yep.
Because the summer here is just
Yeah,
glorious.
that's true. Yep.
We don't go very far, although we go once a year to Monhegan, but Monhegan Island, but we do that usually in September, October.
Yep.
But we really stay around here. People come to us.
Yeah.
A friend of mine said when we bought our place, that if
Watch
you
it.
buy a place by the beach, you're going to have lots of company.
Yeah.
And we love that. So
Yeah. As long as they're not all there at the same time.
And we have neighbors who are only there in the summer, whom we love.
Yep.
But their
Yeah.
houses close down on Columbus Day and open up in May,
Yeah.
and so it's just fun.
It's a nice treat to reconnect to,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. So in March, where did you go?
We drove down the eastern seaboard. We went to Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, to look at all the Wyeth. There's a wonderful Wyeth museum there.
Yeah.
And it's also, I'm blanking out, the family that settled in Chadds Ford.
It'll come to you.
It will. So let's move on to the Biltmore. So we went to see the Biltmore and that whole area.
Yeah.
And then we went to Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Which was, we thought we would really love the music, but we
Yeah.
walked down that street the first night and it was just incredible. But we did a lot of other fun things.
Did you go to Parnassus, the
Oh,
bookstore?
yes. And I bought book bags for my...
Oh, I have a mug.
I went to Parnassus, and the Nashville Library is remarkable.
Oh, wow.
It's only about 20 years old.
Yep.
They did I talked to one of the librarians at length, and they have a whole area devoted to the history of the women's vote.
Yeah.
And they have a booth where you can go in and press a speech you'd like to hear. I listened to Hillary Clinton
Oh, my
when she
gosh.
was first lady,
Yeah.
watched her
Yeah.
speaking to the UN about working to help
Yeah.
the conditions for women throughout the world.
Wow.
And so it was really great. And they had an African American Music Museum. I mean, so there were a lot of things there, even though we didn't love the music.
Wow. But the scene, that's I hear, you know, a lot of people that they never would have been there. Never would have gone to Nashville, and now that's a super destination.
It really is.
So, yeah.
I think if you, and then of course after we left, there were the shootings and everything else, and you think, well, maybe that was a good time to get out.
Yeah. Did you continue on?
No, we turned around and we went up. We went to New Jersey and stayed with my daughter, and they had just done a house renovation, so we got to see that. And
oh, that's great.
I would say out of the trip, my favorite was Chad's Ford. It was just beautiful, and they have all these stones. Bluestone, it's called, and all these homes that are built out of it. It's just gorgeous. Oh, wow. And the Wyeth Museum is. Yeah. We love the Farnsworth up in Camden.
Right.
So it was fun to go there. I had been there briefly. I was in the area at an educators conference, and we had a chance to go, but it was like 2 hours, and that wasn't enough time for me. So. It's taken me quite a few years to get back to see it, but finally I did.
Is there somebody out on Monhegan that you visit, or you just like to go?
We just love to go.
Yeah, I've never been.
Oh,
so
you should.
I'd like to try sometime to get up there.
It's not even 4 miles in diameter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's small, but there is a lot there. There are wonderful trails, and there's one hike you can do, and at the end, they have their own brewery on the island.
Yeah.
And you can end up at the brewery and have a beer or a little flight of all their tastings.
Nice.
Several little restaurants.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice respite. Yeah. And we stay at the Island Inn, which is owned by a former Kennebunkport resident.
Oh, interesting.
Now, he just bought it 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He is Kate's brother of Pete and Kate, who used to own the
the ramp and
the
Pier
ramp
77.
and Pier 77 Pedro's.
Yeah.
Now they have Bitter End,
Yeah.
which we also love.
Yeah, that's a great spot.
It is. It's a really fun. No, we love Monhegan. We love the Camden area.
Yeah.
There's so much of Maine. Steve does a lot more. He loves to ski, so he'll go skiing over the winter.
And he does a lot of photography.
Yes, he will go off with his camera, and he loves to go into northern Maine. And I generally don't go on those trips because when Steve has his camera, you can wait a long time for him to get exactly what he wants. And
well, yeah, there's a lot of patience in that.
There is.
That one shot. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And then going back the next day because you weren't happy with what you...
Yeah. That's tough. So, so as far as your teaching career, do you have any advice for folks who want to go into that profession?
Boy, it is a tough profession right now.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends who are still in the profession, and they just don't enjoy it the way they used to. It is so hard.
Yeah.
The expectations, especially on public school teachers. I mean, I did some public school work, but I was mainly in independent schools, and I just fell into that. I mean, it wasn't my intention.
Yeah.
I loved it, and it was a much different world.
Yeah.
But the public school teachers are expected to do everything. They have to, I mean, they have children of so many different needs and requirements in their classroom.
Yeah.
And the schools don't have the money
Yeah.
for aides. I mean, I have 2 friends who are such good teachers that they get challenging students, but they can't manage them because there's nobody there to help them.
Right, yeah.
So I think it's really, really, and I think it's too bad. I guess my advice is that we should all work hard to see that the schools are better funded because they just don't have enough to do the job they're being asked to do. And as mental health issues increase among young people, I mean, that was happening when I was still in the profession. I had friends who said, I spend, not at my school necessarily, but in some school districts, the kids would come to school and the teacher would spend the first hour just getting them settled down.
Oh, yeah.
And when you have to do that, it's very hard to teach as well. So I wish I could be a little more positive.
No,
but I think we all
yeah.
ought to be working hard to support our public school.
Yeah, good message.
And we don't have enough. I noticed that I think it's Southern Maine is adding a new program to try to attract more young people into teaching.
Yeah, well, hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important job.
Yeah, it really is.
And unfortunately, I think our society doesn't give it enough credence.
Yeah. Well, not that I don't love baseball, but the baseball players and the football players and some of those big paying jobs. And then you have teachers who are doing the most important job.
I know.
Switch.
Yeah, no, it's
Switch
very
their
much
salary
out of whack.
for a bit.
It's very much out of whack.
Yeah, it is.
There's no doubt. And I think nursing was that way for a long
Yeah.
time, and that has sort of come along. I think nurses are better paid than they used to be.
I think they are too, but it's
the
still
sort of-
that. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's still that attitude of that's women's work and they shouldn't be paid as much.
Yeah.
But no, I think we all ought to be out there
Yeah. Well,
supporting teachers to the best of our ability.
Yeah, that's good advice. When we start to wrap up our interview, we have a rapid fire one-word answer round. Okay?
All
Ready for
right.
that?
Yeah.
All right. So we like to ask what your favorite color is.
Blue.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm trying to remember. Toffee graham cracker crunch from the
boy.
Goose Rocks Dairy.
Oh, boy.
But they didn't have it last summer.
Uh-oh. Well, you'll have to put in a complaint.
I also love Rococo, and I know that's not a one-word answer. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's hard for me to just do one word.
I know you read a lot. Do you have a favorite book that, like, if I asked you for a recommendation?
The Once and Future King by T.H. White.
Okay.
I think everybody should read it.
All right. Good to know. Favorite movie?
Oh, gosh, that is a hard one. Probably 84 Charing Cross Road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that one too. Favorite place you've ever been?
Greece.
Greece. Okay. Any particular island or?
Corfu.
Okay. Were you there for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Not a long, long time, but my best friend growing up and I, before we each went to graduate school, we worked in Cambridge, saved our money, took second jobs. We even sewed neckties and sold them to law school students.
Oh, wow.
To make money for this camping trip
Very
through Europe.
good. Very good.
And we went to Greece, and we went to Yugoslavia first, and Dubrovnik and that coast, and then we loved it so much that we cut out parts of our trip so we could stay longer in Dubrovnik and then on Corfu. It was just, and Steve and I are talking about going. He's never been, so we were going to go during COVID, and we're getting ready to start planning that trip again. It's a beautiful country.
I hope that happens for you.
It's a beautiful country, so.
Thank you for spending time and all the things that you do here for us at Graves Library. We really appreciate your support and your volunteership, being in the book sale and everything else. So, we're so glad you're here in town.
Well, it's a treat to have this library. My California friend who's in the Monterey Book Club always says, "You have the best library." She's very jealous of it.
We like to hear that. So.
And as I told you, she follows the website and knows what's going on and sometimes tells me, did you do this? Did you do that?
That's great. That's great. So
you have a fan club.
Hey, all right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
And thank you all for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again here soon.